Hi, I'm Mr. Hume. I teach IB Film at KIS, and welcome to the IB Film Festival. This year our theme is More Films, More Life, and sub-theme is More Than Just Films. And I hope that's what you see in the work that you're about to experience. AJ, Adam, Barbara, Max, and Zolty have done an incredible job in some incredibly difficult circumstances. First of all, there was the COVID situation, and then now we are in the midst of the war of Russian aggression in Ukraine. These students are spread literally around the world, from the United States all the way to New Zealand, and the fact that they were able to complete work of this quality is absolutely stunning. Normally, this event would take place in the auditorium. There'd be a room full of people, and it would be followed by a question and answer period. And I'm so terribly disappointed for the students, but also for the audience, who are going to miss out on the wealth of insight and knowledge and practical advice about how filmmaking works that these students would bring to that event. So we're doing it this way this year. I very much hope you enjoy it. The format is very simple. Each student gets a section. Before you see their film, they're going to talk about the inspiration that they took into the planning process and pre-production. Then you'll see the film itself that they submitted, and then after that they'll just talk briefly about some of the challenges that they faced. And I assure you, the time that they have to talk about the challenges does not in any way represent the challenges that they had to overcome. So sit back, relax, pop some corn, put your feet up, and enjoy.
Hi everyone. This is Adam. I'm here in Washington, D.C. I'm here to talk about my scene, which is a rendition of the Coen brothers' No Country for Old Men, a scene wherein the antagonist, Anton Chigurh, confronts a store owner. I kind of took this in a Wes Anderson sort of way. He uses a lot of doubles and singles, whereas the Coens kind of use the over-the-shoulder for the 180-degree rule, wherein two characters talking to each other and there's a back and forth. In Wes Anderson, you don't really see much of that. If he does singles, he'll do it face to face, but more often than not he'll use doubles, and I tried to encapsulate that in this scene. Furthermore, Wes Anderson kind of uses this movement in a lot of his works, even his early works where he didn't have as much access to equipment per se. He uses this movement to emphasize kind of a transitioning in scene, and he uses movement and dialogue much in the same way that the Coens do. For this scene, I kind of wanted to encapsulate the feeling of early Wes Anderson films on a small, very small budget. The original antagonist is sort of this very intimidating force to be reckoned with. Now he's kind of a smarmy know-it-all who doesn't really intimidate anybody.
How much?
69 cents. You got any rain coming your way?
And what way would that be?
I saw you're from Dallas.
What business is it of yours where I'm from?
I didn't mean anything by it. I apologize. If you can't accept that, I don't know what else I can do for you. Will there be anything else?
I don't know, will there?
Is there something wrong with you?
Is that what you're asking me? Is there anything wrong with me?
Well, I need to close.
What time do you close?
Now.
Now is not the time. What time do you close?
Dark.
You don't know what you're talking about, do you?
Excuse me?
I said, you don't know what you're talking about. What time do you go to bed?
9:30?
I can come back then.
Why would you come back then? Well, I need to close, so...
Do you live in that house behind the store?
I do.
You lived here all your life?
It was my wife's father's house before we moved here from Temple, Texas.
You married into it?
If you want to put it that way.
I don't have some way to put it. That's the way it is. What's the most you ever lost on a coin toss?
Couldn't tell you.
You know what date is on this coin? 2004. It's been traveling 17 years to get here, and now it's here. And it's either heads or tails, and you have to say, call it.
For what?
Just call it.
Well, I need to know what we're calling for.
I can't call it for you. It wouldn't be fair.
I need to know what I stand to win.
Everything. You stand to win everything. Call it.
Heads, then.
Well done. Don't put it in your pocket.
Where would you rather I put it?
Anywhere that's not in your pocket. Otherwise, it'll get mixed in with all the others and become just a coin. Which it is.
When the two actors, who are fantastic by the way and were so willing to work, when they moved to the other end of the little kiosk there, we had to do that on a little handheld rig. I think that both the actors did a fantastic job. I was initially planning to use the high school commons kiosk as a location, but I found that the old building's kiosk had a much more kind of, its shape was much more suited to the movement that I wanted to make. I didn't end up using the sound we collected via boom mic, but I still want to thank Barbora and Zolty and Max for helping me with cameras and microphones. It was fantastic. They made the challenges that we did face a lot easier. Like, for example, when you see that overhead coin flick, when he flicks it on the table, I wanted to have that overhead shot because that's kind of typical in a lot of Wes Anderson's newer work. You kind of see this overhead perspective and then you get a zoom in. We had to kind of balance it on this chair, and I had to stand up on my knees on the kiosk and kind of make sure that everything was lined up correctly.
I always wanted to make a video of how I feel when I'm making music or listening to other people's music, and I wanted to portray that with my music. And you know, I had that vision in mind of just enjoying the music and putting all the clips together. And to those who don't know what making music is like, it's traveling to another dimension or another world, and I wanted to portray that in my video. Like something happened to my software, FL Studio, and it just crashed, and it was annoying because I had to redo the whole song again, and I did it 3 times in total. Or the final song you hear in the clip, it's a different type of song. It would have been interesting to hear what the original song was like, but hey, I pushed through and I tried to make the best of it. I had to find the right, feeling or the right melody for the song. And that was a timely process. The final one, the 6th one, was the perfect one. I pushed it through and I found the right notes, right everything. Like everything was perfect off that song. And I put it with the clips, everything together. It just worked seamlessly.
Initially, this was supposed to be a horror film. It was supposed to be based on the film called Separation. It's like a horror film and it's like really good, and I wanted to do something in that genre. But then like war happened and stuff happened, and I had to go to a country where there's like, I don't know anyone in here. I had to come up with a totally new plan. And at that time I was watching like a lot of psychological thrillers, and so each time I was like hanging out with a friend, I like always bring my camera with me, and I would always make them do something weird and I would film it, and hoping that in the end I would like edit it in a way that would make sense. When did this all began? I don't know. What do you want to tell me about it? I seriously don't know. The ducks. I need help. They won't leave me alone. Today we're going to talk about I would say that lack of motivation and my time management skills are probably the biggest challenge. I had literally no motivation. My time management skills weren't good. Like, it was 2 nights before the due date of this assignment, and I had to edit these 8 hours of footage into something that would make sense. Yeah.
I was inspired by the film No Country for Old Men by Ethan and Joel Cohen in creating this clip. I was also in part inspired by David Fincher's Fight Club, specifically Edward Norton's tired and insomniac look at his office job. I tried to recreate this extreme close-up of Edward Norton, but with my version of Chigurh. One important aspect to the original coin toss scene is the level of tension. I asked my cinematographer to make the shots into medium or close-up shots, and in post-production I attempted to maintain that same idea by cutting the clips in a way that wouldn't necessarily distract from what was happening visually.
much was in the bag?
50,000, I think.
This, please. And the fries.
What's gonna happen to me?
Relax. Where's the money?
I buried it in some backyard.
You don't know what you're talking about, do you?
Sir?
I said you don't know what you're talking about. What time do you go to bed?
Sir?
I said, what time do you go to bed?
Sometime around 9:30, I think.
I could just come by your house then.
Why would you do that? I'd be sleeping.
You live in that house out back behind the stadium, right?
Yes, I do.
You lived there all your life?
Yeah, it was my wife's father's house originally.
So you married into it?
We lived in Temple, Texas before. We raised a family out there in Temple. We moved out here 4 years ago.
You married into it?
If you want to put it that way.
There's no way to put it. It's the way it is. What's the most you've ever lost on a coin toss?
Sir?
What's the most you've ever lost on a coin toss?
I couldn't tell you.
Call it.
Call it.
Yeah. Call it.
For what?
Just call it.
Well, we need to know what it is we're calling for.
You need to call it. I can't call it for you. It wouldn't be right. It wouldn't be fair. Now call it.
I didn't put nothing up.
Yes, you did. You've been putting it up your whole life. You just didn't know it yet. I need you to call it. Do you know what date is on this coin?
No.
1958. It's been traveling 22 years and now it's here. It's either heads or tails and I need you to call it.
Look, I need to know what I stand to win.
You stand to win everything. Call it.
Heads, then.
Hold on. Don't put it in your pocket.
Sir,
Don't put it in your pocket.
where would you like it?
Anywhere but your pocket. It'll get mixed in with all the others and become just another coin. Which it is.
I'd originally filmed the footage for this clip in September and had edited a first version of the clip pretty soon after. One of the first problems I saw was that quite a bit of the footage was pretty blurry and some footage had pretty bad lighting. So as an editor, I simply chose to make the most of what I had. The first version I edited was not good, to put it bluntly. There were far too many jump cuts in both video and audio, which made it very distracting for the audience. It was also not a very complex edit. I used different sources of audio for each transition to a new shot, instead of one or two main sources throughout the clip. But I went back later in the year and started from scratch and committed to maintaining that tension I wanted to create. In part by using only one or two audio sources and making the transition between one shot to another seem more fluid. Of course, there is still the issue of blurry and dark clips, but I tried to minimize their usage as much as I could, and when I did use them, I tried to color correct the footage as much as possible. Overall, this was a really good learning experience for me. It gave me some really good insight into some of the difficulties editors can face and how they might go about dealing with those difficulties.
I couldn't say that there was any one particular project or work that I was trying to replicate the emotions of, that I was trying to be like. I could probably say the closest thing to an actual inspiration would be the music video for the Talking Heads is Once in a Lifetime. I was very captured by the emotions of it. In that sense, I did try to replicate that a little bit. The main inspiration behind what is actually depicted comes more from my mindset at the time. This would have been around the middle of March, so I was still very much caught up in recent events. And instead of trying to confront myself with that head on, I tried to do something a bit more transformative with it, I guess. Well, a big challenge was working by myself. I don't really like working in groups, but the challenge with working alone is actually making something good. I think there's a high likelihood that if you just work alone, you're just gonna make things really stagnant and kind of boring. And the way I tried to combat that was just to try and bring some fluidity to the actual video, not just have like still images basically. Get the camera moving just to bring some movement into the frame. That's about it.
Thank you guys so much for watching the video. I just want to say a couple words now to Adam, AJ, Max, Zolty, Barbora. Thank you guys so much for your hard work, your artistry, your talent, your perseverance. No artist is ever satisfied with their work at the moment of completion. I hope that in the future, when you look back at this, you will see and celebrate yourselves. I could not have asked for a better group of students to go through this insane period of history with. I'm going to miss you like crazy. Good luck in the future. Keep making films. Thank you.